every secret from the last 30 years.
And I have given all the proofs of who was involved with Diddy. I have presented the videotape of Diddy's parties as evidence.
The internet woke up expecting a normal Tuesday, and instead got hit with a documentary grenade. Because when 50 Cent drops the third part of a documentary series, people assume it's going to be spicy. But nobody expected the level of chaos that exploded across social media the moment the new episode started trending. Within minutes, timelines were melting down faster than a celebrity apology video after getting caught on camera. And somehow, right in the middle of this digital hurricane, two names kept popping up like plot twists in a Netflix thriller. Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z. Not because they responded, not because they tweeted, but because fans suddenly believed this documentary was hinting at something far bigger than rap beef. Something that looked less like a music story and more like a backstage industry chess game. Now, before anyone starts flipping tables in the comments, let's be clear. The documentary itself never claims to expose a literal secret society of hip-hop villains sitting around a smoky boardroom. But what it does do is raise questions that fans on the internet turned into full-blown conspiracy threads within hours. And if you've spent 5 minutes on Twitter lately, you already know the internet doesn't need much encouragement, because the moment clips started circulating, the speculation train left the station and never looked back. People were connecting dots like they were auditioning for the next season of True Detective. Old interviews resurfaced, past collaborations were re-examined, and suddenly every industry handshake looked suspicious. If dramatic music played every time someone posted a theory, social media would sound like a Marvel trailer. And of course, if there's one person on planet Earth who understands how to stir the pot with the precision of a reality TV producer, it's 50 Cent. The man has been trolling the internet longer than some influencers have been alive. He drops hints, raises eyebrows, disappears for a few hours. And suddenly the entire internet is building conspiracy boards like it's a crime documentary. But the real reason fans are losing their minds isn't just the documentary itself. It's the timing. Because the hip-hop industry has already been sitting on a mountain of tension lately. And when you combine long-running rivalries, billionaire moguls, and a documentary that keeps teasing hidden stories, the internet basically turns into a WWE arena. Memes started flying faster than punches in a Zeus Network reunion episode. Some fans were convinced this documentary was about to reveal the biggest industry secrets since the streaming era began. Others were laughing and saying this was just 50 Cent doing what he does best, trolling the entire music business for entertainment. The story behind this documentary didn't begin this week, this month, or even this year. It actually started years ago when 50 Cent turned trolling into a full-time sport and the entire internet became his stadium. If there was a rumor, a meme, or a messy industry moment floating around, chances were 50 had already turned it into a punchline before breakfast. And somehow, every joke always seemed to circle back to the same powerful names in the music world. For years, fans noticed a pattern. Every time discussions about industry power came up, the spotlight somehow drifted toward moguls like Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z. Not because they were fighting publicly, but because they represented something bigger than artists. They were the boardroom bosses of hip-hop, the billion-dollar masterminds who helped shape the entire culture, and that's where the intrigue began to grow. Because when billionaires move quietly in the music industry, fans immediately assume something interesting is happening behind the curtain. It's like watching a magician perform while everyone in the crowd is desperately trying to figure out where the rabbit came from. Except in hip-hop, the rabbit might be a record deal, a business partnership, or a surprise industry alliance. Now enter 50 Cent, a man who treats the internet like a late-night comedy stage. Instead of whispering about industry politics, he prefers to laugh at them loudly. For years he poked fun at rivals, reposted awkward headlines, and turned social media into a running commentary on the rap business. Some fans thought it was petty trolling, while others believed he was subtly exposing how the industry really works. That tension slowly turned into the foundation for this documentary series. Because when rumors started spreading that 50 was producing a multi-part project exploring the business side of hip-hop power, curiosity exploded overnight. People didn't know whether to expect investigative journalism, comedy, or pure chaos. With 50 Cent involved, the answer was probably all three at the same time. And the first two episodes only made the mystery deeper. They didn't accuse anyone of secret crimes or hidden empires. Instead, they painted a complicated picture of how influence moves inside the music industry. Suddenly, viewers were seeing how deals, friendships, and rivalries connect like invisible strings across decades of hip-hop history. Fans started digging through old interviews like detectives on a caffeine binge. Clips resurfaced from award shows, radio interviews, and backstage moments that suddenly looked different when viewed through the documentary's lens. People on social media were posting screenshots and drawing connection charts like they were building a Marvel multiverse timeline. And every time someone thought they solved the puzzle, another theory popped up. Then came the moment that really stirred the pot. In one segment, the documentary talks about how power in hip-hop doesn't always come from the loudest voice in the room. Sometimes the real influence sits quietly in business meetings while the public only sees the performers on stage. That comment alone sent half the internet into detective mode. Suddenly, every collaboration in hip-hop history became a topic of debate. Fans were analyzing partnerships between labels, artists, and business ventures like they were sports analysts reviewing game footage. Some people argued it was just normal music business strategy. Others insisted the documentary was hinting at deeper industry alliances that fans rarely notice. But what made Part 3 explode online was the way the documentary framed its questions. Instead of presenting answers, it simply highlighted how certain figures shaped the industry over time. That storytelling style made viewers feel like they were uncovering clues themselves. And the internet absolutely loves feeling like it solved a mystery. Meanwhile, memes started spreading like wildfire. One tweet joked that hip-hop executives must secretly meet in a dramatic boardroom that looks like a scene from a superhero movie. Another compared the music industry to a giant chess match where artists are the pieces and moguls move them around the board. Within hours, the documentary wasn't just entertainment. It became a social media obsession. But the real drama came from the reactions. Some fans praised the documentary for opening conversations about power and influence in hip-hop. Others accused it of stirring unnecessary speculation just to create viral moments. Debate threads stretched for thousands of comments as viewers argued about whether the film was revealing something meaningful or simply feeding the internet's love of drama. And right in the middle of that chaos sat the biggest question of all: did 50 Cent create this documentary purely for entertainment? Or was he subtly pulling back the curtain on how the music industry actually operates? Clips from the documentary started spreading across social media like wildfire in a dry forest. Within minutes, timelines were filled with theories, reaction videos, and memes moving faster than a celebrity apology tweet after getting caught in 4,000. And right at the center of that digital tornado was 50 Cent, smiling like a man who knew exactly what he just unleashed. Because if there's one thing 50 Cent understands better than most people on the internet, it's viral chaos. This is the same guy who can post a single emoji and somehow turn it into a week-long online argument. So when viewers started noticing subtle moments in the documentary referencing long-standing industry alliances, the speculation machine immediately went into overdrive. And social media suddenly looked less like a fan forum and more like a detective convention. Naturally, two familiar names kept resurfacing in those conversations: Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z. Not because they appeared directly accusing anyone of anything, but because the documentary kept referencing how certain moguls shaped the structure of hip-hop's business empire. To fans already suspicious of industry politics, that was more than enough fuel for the rumor rocket. Twitter threads started connecting dots that looked like something straight out of a conspiracy movie. Old business partnerships were suddenly being re-examined like they were hidden Easter eggs in a Marvel film. Every past collaboration became evidence for someone's theory about how power moves behind the scenes in the music industry. At one point, a viral post compared the entire rap business to a WWE storyline with secret alliances and surprise betrayals. Meanwhile, TikTok creators were treating the documentary like a mystery puzzle. One video broke down how certain record label deals from the early 2000s shaped the modern music landscape. Another creator joked that hip-hop executives probably hold secret strategy meetings like superheroes planning the next Avengers movie. By the end of the day, the documentary wasn't just trending, it had turned into a full-blown internet investigation. But then the celebrity reactions started trickling in. Some artists responded with laughing emojis, clearly treating the whole situation like a giant inside joke. Others were noticeably quiet, which of course only made the internet even more suspicious. Because if there's one rule of online drama, it's that silence somehow becomes louder than shouting. And the moment people started noticing who wasn't commenting, speculation doubled overnight. One tweet even joked that the hip-hop industry must be watching the documentary like a reality show reunion episode. You know, the kind where everyone sits on stage pretending to stay calm while the host slowly brings up old drama. Except this time the host was 50 Cent, and the entire internet was sitting in the audience with popcorn. And social media absolutely loves messy entertainment. But the most chaotic reactions came from the fans themselves. Some viewers believed the documentary was cleverly highlighting how influence and money shaped the industry behind closed doors. Others insisted people were overanalyzing normal business relationships and turning them into dramatic conspiracies. The debate quickly turned into two massive camps arguing across thousands of comment threads. And naturally, every argument only pushed the documentary further up the trending charts. Meanwhile, memes were evolving at lightning speed. One viral image showed a cartoon boardroom filled with hip-hop moguls sitting around a glowing table like villains from a superhero movie. Another meme compared the music industry to a giant chessboard where billionaires move pieces while artists perform on stage. And somewhere in the middle of all that chaos, 50 Cent posted another cryptic message online that fans immediately started decoding like it was ancient hieroglyphics. But here's the twist nobody expected, because while the internet was busy arguing about theories, the documentary quietly dropped another subtle moment near the end of the episode. It hinted that the real story might not be about rivalries or industry gossip at all. Instead, it suggested the bigger question might be about how power in hip-hop has evolved over decades. That small shift completely changed the conversation. Suddenly, viewers realized the documentary might be building towards something larger than internet drama. Maybe this wasn't just about teasing famous names or stirring online chaos. Maybe it was slowly setting up a deeper look at how influence, money, and culture intersect inside the music business. By the time viewers reached the final stretch of the documentary, the internet was already in full meltdown mode. What started as a simple curiosity had turned into a full-scale cultural debate about power, influence, and the unseen mechanics of hip-hop. And right in the middle of that storm stood 50 Cent, watching the chaos unfold like a director observing the premiere of his most dramatic film yet. Because whether people loved the documentary or hated it, one thing was undeniable: everyone was talking about it. The final chapter of Part 3 shifts the tone in a way that catches viewers completely off guard. Instead of leaning into gossip or rivalry, the documentary starts examining the long road hip-hop traveled from street culture to global empire. The story suddenly zooms out, reminding audiences that today's industry wasn't built overnight. It grew through decades of risk, ambition, and a handful of powerful figures shaping the direction of the business. Naturally, those conversations bring up the influence of moguls like Diddy Combs and Jay-Z. Both men are discussed not as villains in some secret plot, but as major architects of hip-hop's transformation into a billion-dollar industry. From record labels to fashion brands to business investments, their moves helped expand rap music beyond the recording booth. And the documentary frames that evolution as one of the biggest power shifts in entertainment history. But here's where the emotional twist arrives, because the film also highlights how the rise of massive industry empires created a complicated relationship between art and business. As hip-hop grew bigger, the decisions shaping the culture increasingly happened in boardrooms rather than recording studios. Deals, partnerships, and financial strategies began influencing which artists were promoted, which sounds were pushed, and which trends dominated the charts. Suddenly, the documentary feels less like drama and more like a mirror, reflecting how the modern music industry operates. And that realization leaves viewers with mixed emotions. Some fans watch the documentary and feel proud seeing how hip-hop conquered the world. A culture that started in neighborhoods and block parties now drives global fashion, streaming numbers, and billion-dollar investments. The success of figures like Diddy and Jay-Z represents proof that hip-hop artists can build empires far beyond music. In that sense, the documentary almost feels like a celebration of the genre's growth, but other viewers walk away with a different perspective. They start asking whether the business side of the industry has grown so powerful that it sometimes overshadows the culture itself. When billion-dollar deals shape the music landscape, some fans worry that creativity could take a back seat to corporate strategy. The documentary never gives a definitive answer to that debate. Instead, it leaves the audience sitting with the question long after the credits roll. Meanwhile, the internet keeps spinning theories at lightning speed. Some viewers insist the documentary was cleverly exposing how influence flows through the music industry like an invisible network. Others argue it simply sparked conversations that were already happening among fans and artists. Debates rage across social media threads, with people analyzing every frame like they're reviewing footage from a championship sports match. And somehow the documentary manages to fuel both admiration and skepticism at the same time. But the real twist arrives in the final moments of the episode. Just as viewers think the documentary is wrapping up its message, the screen fades to black for a second. Then a final voiceover from 50 Cent delivers one last thought about power, legacy, and the future of hip-hop. The narration hints that the industry is entering another transformation, one where the next generation of artists might challenge the structure built by the previous era. And suddenly the story doesn't feel finished at all. Because if the past 3 decades created the moguls who dominate today's music business, the next decade could introduce an entirely new wave of power players. Streaming platforms, independent labels, and digital creators are already reshaping how artists succeed without traditional industry gatekeepers. That shift alone could rewrite the entire playbook that built the current music empire. The documentary ends with one final unsettling thought. Maybe the biggest secret in the music industry isn't a hidden network of power. Maybe the real secret is how quickly that power can change hands when the culture evolves. And if that's true, the next chapter of hip-hop history might look completely different from the one audiences just watched. So after all that chaos, speculation, memes, debates, and internet detective work, one question still hangs in the air like dramatic music at the end of a Netflix episode. Was this documentary simply entertainment, or did 50 Cent just spark the biggest conversation the hip-hop industry has had in years? Because whether people agree with the documentary or completely reject its ideas, the reaction alone proves one thing. The culture is watching, the internet is listening, and nobody is ignoring this conversation anymore. And honestly, that might be the most powerful part of the whole story. Hip-hop has always thrived on debate, competition, and bold personalities willing to shake the table. From lyrical battles to business rivalries, the genre moves forward whenever someone dares to question how the system works. And right now, the internet feels like one giant roundtable discussion about the future of the industry. Some viewers walked away from the documentary laughing at the drama and enjoying the entertainment. Others started digging deeper into the business side of music, curious about how moguls like Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z helped transform hip-hop into a global empire. Either way, the conversation clearly isn't ending anytime soon. If anything, it feels like this story just opened the door to even bigger questions. So now we want to hear from you. Do you think the documentary was simply stirring the pot for entertainment? Or do you believe it highlighted real conversations about influence and power in the music business? Jump down into the comments and drop your thoughts, because the debate happening under this video might be just as wild as the documentary itself. And while you're at it, go ahead and smash that like button like it owes you money. seriously hit it harder than a reality show table flip during a reunion episode. Because every like pushes this video further into the algorithm, and the algorithm loves messy conversations almost as much as the internet does. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications too. That way, the moment the next piece of hip-hop drama, industry twist, or viral headline drops, you'll already be front row with us watching the chaos unfold. Trust me, in the world of celebrity news and rap culture, the next plot twist is always right around the corner. And remember, the internet might forget yesterday's drama, but the receipts always stay somewhere. This has been Truth Tattle, where the stories are loud, the reactions are louder, and the